me to stop, but why would I stop? I am unstoppable. Hold up.
If he gets us one, he's a Laker.
If he gets you one, he's a Laker. If he's two, he's dyed in the wool, purple and gold.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. If he gets us two, he gets a statue.
Never listen to what the eyes say. Why when the universe is fine to what I say?
It doesn't matter who it's against. You know, I'm here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to compete for a championship. I've been as locked in as I've ever been in my career.
Hold up, why would I stop?
Welcome back to Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. We're coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. We're at the South Street Seaport in Lower Manhattan. And one thing ESPN has perfected and loved, tongue planted firmly and chic, the countdown clock. Let's get it up. 14 hours away from Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Key can't wait. Neither can Laker Nation.
Let's go.
Right back in the finals for the first time in 10 years.
Hands all in right here. Let's go.
On 3 break, LeBron looking for another championship. This is his 10th finals appearance, and we're asking you all morning long on our Twitter feed, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin Nation on Twitter, if the Lakers lose the finals, what will it mean for LeBron?
Man, don't even put that out there like that, though.
Is that karma? Is that just putting it out in the ether?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's go.
Well, if you're a Miami Heat fan, you're going to love this question because it would drop LeBron to 3-7 in the finals. We're going to get the guy's thoughts.
Sound right.
I'll put him at 3-7.
That doesn't even sound right, though, right?
Want to get your thoughts on that, but I want to make sure everybody in our community, as you guys have said, it's not just us three, but it's everybody that's listening, however you're listening, in the car, on the radio, on the app, on television, on your smart speakers. Just tell it to play ESPN. So bottom line, if the Lakers lose the finals, will it stain LeBron's legacy? 61% of people that have weighed in on our Twitter feed have said yes, including at LA24_podcast. I think I know where you're going with that, LA24. Hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed and said, quote, 100%. No question about it. He has a great organization, coach who perfected their defense, a top 5 player, and solid role players of which anyone can provide a spark. That's his opinion. Fellas, let's get your opinion. Jay, you kind of mentioned it pretty stark. If he loses, there's something to be said for being a part of the finals 10 times. And then there is the other aspect of being 3-7 if they lose this go around for LeBron's legacy.
So we're going to go in a negative town. Okay. The Lakers are minus 400 favorites at William Hill U.S. Sportsbooks.
Heavy favorite.
Heavy favorite. It would severely hurt his legacy. I mean, it's his basketball legacy. I think there are things he's doing off the court that will forever put him into the greats category. He will always be considered the greats. Things like more than the vote that he's doing off the court, the businesses he's been able to build, obviously basketball-wise. He's one of the greatest athletes, greatest players we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. But you have another top 5 player on your team. And with the teams that were left in the bubble, look, I don't care what people say, and I know there's a lot of jokes, and I know it didn't really work out. I know Doc Rivers and things of that sort. But the Clippers were, if we had a regular full season with the talent that the Clippers had, they were probably the best chance for the Lakers not to win.
Yeah, they're not there yet, though. I understand what you're saying.
So, exactly, that's my point. That's exactly my point. They aren't there. They aren't there. So the best team with the best favorite, the best odds to be you, they're no longer in the picture.
Not our fault, but I understand. Keep going.
So if you don't win this title now with the Miami Heat, if you're thinking like the Miami Heat has Duncan Robinson, who played D3 basketball, right? Now he's a starter in the league, really good player. Tyler Hero, rookie. Jay Crowder, kind of like journey guy, defensive guy, can make threes here and there. Bam Adebayo, all-star, but still very young, right? Jimmy Butler's the one guy like, okay, Jimmy Butler, but he's still not in the same conversation with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So I think if you lose this game.
You mean the series, not the game.
The series. Yeah, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be not only for Lakers.
But Jay Will, man, I hate to say it like this, bluntly and overly aggressive. He's not going to lose. He's not going to lose.
I don't think they're going to lose either.
I'm not saying that from a fan standpoint. I'm just saying it because he's on a different type of mission, much like 24_ whatever what he's saying.
The podcast guy.
Yeah, the podcast guy. 100%, man. He cannot afford to lose.
But that's not the
There's
question.
so many people that are rooting for him to lose. If he did lose, the question is about his legacy. It would just be one of those deals where you would go, damn. That's the way I would look at it. I would just say, damn.
So it wouldn't
he really just lost. It wouldn't change what I think about him as a basketball player. It would change what I think about him up against other great players. The Kobe Bryants of the world, the Michael Jordans of the world, the Magic Johnsons.
That's why I said, yeah, it kind of severely would hurt.
It would change that conversation. Not the conversation is he the greatest, blah, blah, blah. Not that. It just would change the way that I would view that clutch. Would Magic ever let that happen? Would Kobe ever let that happen? Michael 6-0 in the finals would never let that happen. That's the way I would view it, and that's the only part that would change for me. Is that part of it? Is now he's aligned with them, right? For the most part, he's aligned with them.
They're all sitting at the table together.
Yeah. Yes. So now he may have to pull that chair slightly away and wait for the people to come to see if he get back at the table.
That's the biggest part, though, Key. Like, that's not the small sliver, but that's a massive sliver. That's what LeBron James is playing this game for. He's even said he's considered himself the greatest. Like, he has that mentality, right? He has that mentality. So I think they're going to win it as well.
Well, of course, I
think
do.
they're going to win it in 5 or 6. Right?
Anything could happen, right? We Golden State was up on them. A couple people got hurt. Bam. Golden State was favored to beat Toronto. Some things happened. Bam. I get it. All those things could happen. I'm just saying, though, as far as his legacy goes, as a basketball player, all of that kind of stays. What he's been doing in terms of the movement and more than a vote and just everything in his non-basketball career, great. But when you align him with the greats, which that conversation is consistently being had on a daily basis on shows across the country, I personally now have to remove him, consider that they lost. I'm going to have to move him from that conversation.
So then the narrative becomes that he has underachieved, right? That's what the narrative is.
So
if they lose, which is crazy to say, because obviously he hasn't underachieved with all the accolades that he's been able to accomplish over the course of his career. He's still one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But then you start going through all the scenarios. Okay, like he won 2 championships in Miami. It felt like they should have won more in Miami. Just what it felt. I'm not saying it was right or wrong. Losing to Dallas, then losing to Spurs, right? So felt like they should have won more. He got one in Cleveland. Okay, he came to the Lakers. Like, this is another one that if they don't win, they should have had. They're by far the favorites. So then you start talking about, like, LeBron James. Okay, he's won 3 chips, but ultimately he's underachieved if they don't win.
No, it will certainly feel like he's underachieved severely if they don't win. And one of the reasons is we went out and we got what you wanted. We went and got AD. We put a team around you, and we gave you the keys to the car. And he didn't deliver in the end, which for me being an L.A. guy, and I kind of know the way L.A. people feel about the situation, we're waiting for him to deliver that championship. That letdown, what were you going to ask me?
What would Lakers fans think if he doesn't close the deal?
If he doesn't close the deal,
because you guys, it's a different breed than everybody else, right?
I would think that plane might have to get gassed up and go take a vacation for a little bit, because we would be let down severely because there's so much at stake here. And you hate to put everything on his shoulders, but when you say you can carry it, and I could do this, I could put it on my shoulders and do it, and you give us that belief and that hope that this is you're going to deliver a championship and all of those sort of things, and we really buy in and we start to feel it and we see it's right there, and then you lose to a team that does not have a top 5 guy on it, does not have the talent of the top 2 guys. Jimmy Butler's not in the top 5, right? He's probably
right there at top 10. I mean, he's
maybe on the back end of the 10.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else but young players. If you lose that, now all of a sudden we like, well, wait a minute, man. Because that conversation, Kobe would have never let that happen. Kareem would have never let that happen. Magic was certainly, Worthy would never let that happen. Dive in, much like you said, you start looking at Miami. Well, this is LeBron. You let Dallas do this to you, and you couldn't beat the Spurs. And it took Ray Allen's long shot to keep you in it. That conversation starts. Right or wrong, it's going to start because you came to L.A. to get that chip. And that's what we want. We want you to get the chip that you came to get.
Last word here, and this is just a sad commentary in some ways on where we are. When they clinched and got to the finals after defeating the Nuggets, he was asked what his 10th finals appearance meant to him. And LeBron simply said, and maybe this is just the way we deal with sports today, right now it don't mean blank unless I get it done. I got to get it done. Can't even sit there for 5 minutes and revel in the fact that you've made the NBA Finals for the 10th time in your career. He just gave it brass tacks. Right now, it don't mean blank unless I get it done. I
can't enjoy anything. I mean, the burden that's why I said before, the burden of his backpack is so heavy.
Yeah, but he also understands the reality of it, right? He understands that he's in the middle, right there in Los Angeles, in everything that we're living in our country, and he's embraced it. He's put it on. He's gone on record as saying he has to do it. When you start to do those sort of things, the expectations heightens for you. And you put that pressure, even though there's already pressure, undue pressure on him, more comes with that conversation.
Still ahead, Kendrick Perkins on the way. He knows what it's like to play on the biggest stage in basketball. So we'll ask him a simple question. How do the Heat win? But first, this from Jay.